Welcome back, guys, to the Why of It All. We are on our second episode of the Corby Maupin interview. And so we just want to pick right back up where we left off on his journey through the Ibogaine trip. What do you want to call it? He called it a trip.
He called it a trip.
Yeah.
You guys get your tissues handy.
Yeah.
This is mind-boggling. In part one of the interview, he sort of walked us through his PTSD journey and what led up to him actually going to South America to do his Ibogaine experience. And in this part, he starts getting into the meat of what his trip was like and how it profoundly affected his life once he got home. And you guys, it blew our freaking minds. This was an emotional experience. I felt like I went on a ride.
We did.
And I've never heard anything like this. It truly blew my mind.
And he hasn't talked about his experience much. So we feel so honored that he shared his very intimate and vulnerable story with us. So guys, let's get into it.
We're going to just jump right in, right where we left off. So if you haven't watched part one, definitely go back and watch part one first and then jump back in with this one. And I promise this is going to blow your mind. All right, here we go.
It wouldn't matter if there was people there or not, because once it really kicks in, you wouldn't talk to.
Okay.
If you want to go, I can tell you the actual experience too.
I would love to hear it.
Yes, we're chomping at the bit. Please,
Okay, so
please share.
So it was kind of hit me in phases. I've talked to only a few people. This is very uncommon, but I've talked to a few people, and it sounds kind of similar for the people I've talked to. Is the first phase was like visuals and like tracers and like weird kaleidoscopy effects on the walls. The walls kind of look like they're moving a little bit, and then the normal stuff you hear about. But it was also accompanied with like a very intense fear, disembodied, like not fear of any one particular thing, not like fear that there's someone coming, it was just pure unbridled terror. It was, in this first phase lasted about 2 hours, and then the visuals get more and more intense. The doctor, shout out to Dr. Gabby, she was really great. And at one point I was so scared. I was like, are you going to be here all night? She said, yeah. I was like, will you just stay here, talk with me? And she did. She just sat down there and chit-chatted with me for an hour or so. And the visuals get very intense. At one point, like, you want to close your eyes because it starts to sedate you. Sure. But when you close your eyes, kind of like a dream where it's really, really intense. And then you open your eyes and it kind of brings you back to reality. Just like when you're having a bad dream at night.
Okay.
And I do that, and you kind of start on like, okay, it's okay. And at one point, I look at the doctor, and she's like 2 feet away, and I said, I was like, are my eyes open right now? Because I couldn't tell. I was hallucinating so hard, I couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed. And I look at her, and I was like, are my eyes open right now? And she said, no.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh. I'm like, open my eyes, and there she was, and I could like see through my eyelids.
Whoa.
It was really wild.
It's really trippy.
And then that lasted maybe like an hour or two. My numbers don't add up, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
But it felt like 2 hours of that. I got sick, nauseous. That's pretty normal.
Did you get to nauseous to the point of vomiting?
Yeah. And before I was in the army, I'd done a lot of hallucinogens, that normal stuff you've heard of. So that's not terribly uncommon. My back was hurting real bad, so she gave me. They have you have an IV of water too during this time, and she gave me an injection for anti-nausea, and that helped. And then I just kind of like melted in my bed, and she left. When there's a point where you kind of disconnect from reality, and that's in phase 2. And like everybody I talked to said that they saw like their dead parents, or they saw people from their childhood. And I thought I was going to see my dead dad and my dead friends and stuff. And I remember the last conscious thought I had was, like, where's all the dead people at? And then I got lost in a nightmarish world. Everybody else I talked to, like I said, saw their traumatic experiences from the war or from their childhood or whatever, and that's very comfortable. I didn't have that experience. I just saw it was just a nightmarish, terrible. I saw other people's terrible experiences. It was very real. It wasn't like I was seeing these people in places. It was like my spirit was out of my body and being put into the rooms where these people were being hurt.
Wow. Wow.
And it was real. Like, I feel like it really was. The Lord took my spirit out of my body and was taking me around like the Christmas Carol, but except a fucking horrible nightmare.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No.
You can bleep that out later.
No,
We don't believe that on the show.
Okay.
we say fucking shit sometimes when it's appropriate.
All right.
I think in your story it's very
It sounds
appropriate.
Yeah. So it was, and that seemed to last 6 hours. It was really, really horrible. I remember at one point just screaming like in my head, because I'd open my eyes and I'd be back in the room, but then I'd close my eyes and I'd be right back where I was, and I couldn't look away. I was screaming like, no, I can't look at this anymore. And the answer I got from the Lord was like, well, I can't look away, neither can you. And so I just had to watch these horrible things happening, and that went on for a while. Like, it felt like 6 hours. I don't know how long. And like I said, this was real. This wasn't like what you might imagine a hallucination or a dream. Because like in dreams, there's an unreality in a dream. This wasn't there wasn't that weird disconnect that you have in a dream that you haven't when you're sleeping. This was like just normal life. Like, you're looking in a room at other people a few feet away. Like, that's what they couldn't see me. I could see them.
It's almost like something that Gina and I have talked about on the show before is the only way out is through. It's almost like this Ibogaine activates the parts of your brain that are trapped in terror. And the only way to heal it is to move through it. And you're having this experience where you can't disconnect from it. The only way out is through.
You can't numb it.
And that's what that message from God was. It's like, sorry, buddy, you're going through this now.
That's a cool way of putting it. That sounds good. I like that. So that was, it felt like 6 hours. And then without me really realizing, something changed. Something shifted, and that part was over. And then the next phase, the third phase, I was completely, again, disembodied, but then I was no longer on Earth, and it felt like, again, my spirit had been taken out of my body and was on a sightseeing trip across the universe. And I mean, like, really across the universe, like the Lord taking me faster than the speed of light, like, of flying through different galaxies and seeing a black hole flying right next to a black hole. And that was amazing and beautiful. As terrible as the first section of it was, this was beautiful and amazing, and truly amazing. And this,
That gave me chills.
yeah, it was really, truly amazing. And, seeing a representation of the Lord, and it's really kind of hard to describe, and this is all very personal. This isn't something that anybody should be taking as canon by any means, but I saw what seemed to be like the end of times, like in Judgment Day, in a way. It was where I saw little blips. Like, I went all the way across the universe, and then somehow got like set outside of the universe, looking back at it. And in the blink of an eye, all the physical matter that is in the universe, it like disappeared, it just blinked out, and the only thing left was spirits, which was just little blips of light. And so it still looked like stars or like a nebula, because there was so many different beings. And then the Lord was saying that, you can come with me or you can stay. And then there was a few seconds, and all the people who decided to go with him left. And the only thing left was the spirits who didn't want to go with. And that was the last thing I remember. The next thing was just, I felt like I was back in my body. My body wasn't back on earth, but I was part of a body, as opposed to just being aware, which is what it had been the last 2 phases of this trip. But I was back, but I felt like I was lost in a not disembodied, I had a body, but like I was in this almost like purgatory, where like there was nothing solid. I felt like I was just laying on the floor in like a jail cell I'm just sitting there for like locked up. Maybe it felt like maybe 1,000 lifetimes. The time didn't really apply. This was just waiting so long that you're no longer waiting, that you're just there. You're just existing, not even aware of the passage of time anymore. And then after some undefinable amount of time, I felt like there was someone else there with me. And like I said, I felt like I'd been lying on the floor, this floor of a jail cell, so to speak, and with manacles around my wrists and like a steel collar and a chain around my neck. And then all of a sudden, Jesus Christ walks and stands over me, and I feel and I can hear, like in real life, I can hear the sound of chains breaking. I can feel the collar that had been around my neck break off. And all of a sudden I feel like this physical change where I physically felt myself lighter.
Me too.
And I look up and I'm like, Jesus, did you really just do this? And then the response to my question was, then I felt the same thing with the manacles around my wrist breaking off. And I knew right then that I was free. And yeah, I was free. And I was then at that point, I was back in my body, back in my room in Tijuana. I was still too high to get out of bed. And I sat there for 2 or 3 hours and just thought, and I could feel my brain healing.
Wow.
Physically. I was so excited. I could, like I said, I could just feel my brain healing itself. And I was real excited and happy. Couldn't wait for the sun to come up. And a couple hours later, my doctor walks in and I see her, and I was like startled because I was back from reality again, And I was like, hey, it's like, is this real? Is this really real? And she started laughing because last time we talked, I was so scared I couldn't function, but she knew what was going to happen. She had done this. So she knew what was going to happen. And she said, yeah, it's real. I was like, please just tell me, am I just high and then go home and be back to normal, same old shit? Just tell me, because this is a neat experience. Just tell me now so I don't get my hopes up. And she said, no, you're going to feel better. And this is going to keep going on. You're going to keep feeling better for more like a month. Wow. And we sat and talked for a while. And once she decided I was out of danger, her shift was over and she went home. And yeah, that was, that's cliche to say, but that was the first day of the rest of my life, I guess. And I quit drinking, quit smoking weed. I was in the Army for 10 years. It's been 5 years since I got out of the Army. And I was drinking and getting high because of my divorce before the Army. And I didn't even really realize how those years add up. But yeah, this is the longest I've been sober for 20 years. voluntarily. When I was in Afghanistan, I had to be sober. I was not happy about it. But yeah, so that was kind of the experience. And I came home and went back to school.
So did you continue to start feeling better after that first month? Was because you the doctor like the feeling kept. I mean, you kept the chains were off, symbolically, and you really felt like this brand new person.
Yeah. So yes, very much so. I did some research. We tag on to what you had read is so the Ibogaine. I don't remember any of the chemical names. I apologize. I should have brushed up on this, but I did a bunch of research when I got home. And the psychoactive ingredient in the Ibogaine has a half-life of about 10 or 12 hours. So, you're tripping, like I said, the whole next day. And you can even feel it a little bit the day after that, after you go to bed. Because you end up staying up the whole next day, too. And then you go to bed at normal time. So, thank God. It's only a half-life of 12 hours. If you took that and it lasted any longer, I don't know if you could take it. Right. But it breaks down into one of its metabolites is a different chemical. I apologize for not remembering the name, but it has a half-life of more like 10 to 12 days. And in the biochemical world, they consider 5 iterations of the half-life. Because, mathematically, you could say, it never really gets out of your system. But whatever. They consider 5 iterations, and it's gone. Whatever it is. If it's got a half-life of 2 hours or 2 days, 5 iterations till it's completely gone. And so this other chemical that it breaks down into is, they think, and there's a lot of research to be done. It hasn't been done yet, but that this is the chemical that's in a large part responsible for the neurogenesis and the brain rebuilding itself and healing itself. And I've talked to some people that I didn't have any money. I spent all my money to go there and do this. But they had enough money that they were getting the brain scans before and then after when they came back, and they were still showing differences a month, 3 months, and afterward. So that, if you do the math, it's still significantly in your system for a month or even 6 or 8 weeks. And for me, it's hard to tell for sure what was going on because, there's a lot of variables at play. Like I said, I was still living healthy. I was eating healthy. I'm going to school. I'm doing sauna and I work out. But I felt like I could definitely feel the Ibogaine improving my mind for 2 months. The first month, it was obvious. Week 2 was significantly different than week 1. Week 3 was different than week 2. Each time it was a little bit less, but I could for sure feel that for the first 6 weeks. And then all the way up to 2 months or so, maybe after that, still felt like I was getting better, but it was hard to tell because, there's other factors I quit drinking and quit smoking weed. Those things take time to get out of your system. Like drinking itself is poisonous, and also it disrupts your sleep. So you're chronic. For someone like me who drank every day, I was chronically sleep deprived, which is really terrible for your brain. Sleep deprivation is worse than smoking. It's really bad for you. So now I don't know where the line was. There's probably not a set line, but at some point the Ibogaine stopped helping, and my brain was still now healing itself because I was getting good sleep and doing all these other things. So I don't know where the Ibogaine really stopped and my brain's natural healing
took over,
continued on. But I'm 6.5 months now. I still feel better than I did at 5 months and 6 months. At 5 months I feel better than 4 months. But at this point, I think it's more along the lines of just, healthy living as opposed to the specific effects of the Ibogaine and its metabolites.
Do you feel like this experience has changed your perception of yourself and life and reality in any way? It sounds, I mean, I'm just wrapping my brain around this incredibly profound experience that you have. I'm curious, when you go inward and you self-reflect, has it changed the way you see yourself and reality?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely changed how I perceive reality, how I feel experiencing life, for sure. And I feel like it's, it's hard to say because nothing can separate us from the Lord. But I think we all kind of could probably agree that there's things we can do that sully our connection with the Lord. There's things we can do. We can do things to separate us from the Lord, but nothing can really separate us from the Lord. But like, we can do things that separate our ability to perceive the Lord and our connection to the Lord.
Yeah,
Agree. Agree.
And I feel like, alcohol, certain drugs, certain types of brain damage, I could potentially, like, say, interfere with our antenna that we communicate with to the Lord. And I felt like Ibogaine restored that in a lot of ways. So it affected my perception of reality as far as like, I'm happy and I'm happy and sober at the same time, which is something I haven't felt since before my divorce. Because I didn't really talk about my divorce. I got divorced when I was younger and lost custody of my son, and that was honestly probably the most traumatic thing in my life.
That had to
And
be.
that may have actually had more to do with my unhealthy brain state than anything else. Also,
It all adds up.
Yeah.
I definitely know from my own life, it was a series of traumatic events starting as far back as childhood, but it wasn't until I got to a particular one well into my early 40s or the 30s and 40s that triggered the severe dysregulation. But it all adds up.
It all,
yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie from The Why of It All. You guys already know Gina and I are passionate about healing mind, spirit, and body. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored by a brand whose passion for wellness runs as deep as ours, Tulip Blooms. Tulip Blooms is a family-owned American small business that handcrafts a variety of small batch premium skincare products, such as their original flagship product, Rainfall. Rainfall is a luxurious, lightweight face and body lotion made with soothing aloe vera and a powerhouse blend of cold-pressed botanical oils like jojoba, rosehip, and evening primrose. Rainfall is my go-to daily body lotion. I love that it's made with only the highest quality of pure, clean, natural ingredients. There's no synthetics at all, and it absorbs quickly, delivering lasting hydration without any greasiness. There are many scents to choose from, even unscented, but my favorite is rose geranium. Rainfall is gentle enough for the face, nourishing enough for the body, and the perfect daily go-to, especially after sun exposure when your skin craves extra care. Visit tulipblooms.shop and use our exclusive promo code HEAL, that's HEAL, at checkout for 10% off your order.
For me, it was my ex. Well, we don't even really get into it, but it was very traumatic. And I'll say that my ex-wife and the best man at my wedding then got married later.
Yeah, that'd do it.
that would do it.
So, there's,
That's traumatic.
I won't add any commentary, but I will state the facts as the best man in my wedding to my ex-wife, and my ex-wife then later got married. So you can fill in the blanks from there on your own. And they took my son. Anyway, that and head injuries, and then the army too, all that together.
All of it.
But I remember a time before all that where I was just normal and happy and sober. Like I didn't feel the need to get drunk, and I was happy living life, and like now Ibogaine has got me back towards that.
Wow.
So it's affected how I go through life, like how I experience self-awareness, what it means to actually be alive and aware of being alive. Also, I feel like it's kind of changed my, like maybe healed the antenna mechanism that I do feel more close spiritually to the Lord.
What about the high highs and the low lows and that roller coaster of nervous system dysregulation? Has that changed for you?
Yeah, a big part of it, because like there was a weird kind of doldrums I got when I first came back, and not getting drunk or high, just kind of trusted the system, you know, a little bit, trusted the process. But yeah, the emotional regulation is something that was immediately vastly better.
Wow.
And also that was one of the things I noticed, like not like flying off the handle so much, you know, being able to be more patient, especially like with my children. So now, and that's still a thing that's changing. But this is again where being a college student is really helpful, because I'm engaged in something important and challenging and rewarding. And so now I'm able to focus, getting normal levels of highs and lows, you know, and that's like a healthy level of highs and lows and rewards for work achieved. And
I understand that you're an artist as well.
Yeah.
I'm interested too in, has this experience changed your art? Is the art part of the healing process for you? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, me doing art was something, again, with the constant alertness and the vigilance in an unpleasant, unhealthy way. Art was a way for me when I first started going to class at Texas A&M on campus. I realized I was always in a hurry. I was always in a hurry to go home in a bad way. So I made a rule where I was just spend time on campus, even like a certain amount of time on campus, like even if I didn't have homework, because I was rushing home to get drunk, and I was rushing home in an unhealthy PTSD kind of way. Like home was like a safe place, and I was rushing to that in a weird way. Even though I wanted to go explore and meet people and do cool things, I was in a rush to get home, or something bad would happen. You know, it was, so I set a rule to stay on campus more, and I love campus. I think there's a lot of beautiful architecture there. So I started drawing just for the heck of it, and I enjoyed it. And I would get kind of in the zone, get in a flow state. That was cool. That was relaxing in a way and cathartic. And then people, I would get some compliments, and I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And I felt good about what I'd make. You know, like, oh, wow, I can't believe I drew that. That looks cool. And so I went with that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop and smell the roses. I got a GI Bill, you know, and I'm going to squeeze all the juice out of it, you know. And so I went down and was like, you know, I want to sign up for an art class. I want to sign up for a drawing class. I just wanted to learn how to draw. And then, well, you can't just sign up for an art class or a drawing class. You have to have an art minor if you want to take any art classes. So I was like, oh, well, it just so happens that I got this rich uncle who pays my bills for me. His name is Sam. And so my Uncle Sam doesn't care if I take any extra classes. So, so I was like, yeah, sure. So I don't think they expect you to ever see me again. Well, the next day I showed up with an application to the art department. And I pulled the veteran card on that one. I don't usually pull the veteran card. I try not to talk about it. I think most people can tell I'm a veteran, but I don't talk about it that much. And I definitely don't try to get discounts and stuff like that. That's uncouth in my mind. But I pulled the veteran card on that one, and I got in and started taking art classes, and I really love them. And it's been kind of like a real big part of my life, actually, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's still cathartic. It's a great way for me to get into a flow state, and it's the same reasons I enjoyed it at first, and only more. It's rewarding. I get a cool feeling of a job well done, and people seem to like what I make.
It's got to be very therapeutic. I mean, in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I keep saying getting in a flow state, that's a real big part of it, because I can lose my conscious mind because I'm able to focus. I don't have hobbies, like I mentioned, meditation was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading about meditation in the East. We kind of lost meditation as part of our lives in the Western part of the world, but in the East they never did. But they have a more advanced ideas about it. And it's not all just sitting there with your eyes closed. There's different forms of meditation.
Correct.
And I think in the West we do have these. We just don't know that they are.
We've talked about that on this show many times about meditation isn't just sitting there thinking of nothing. It's, from our perspective, it's anything during which you become fully present. Time disappears and you're in that flow zone state. Yes. I love hearing that's
I was reading about the form of meditation where they're walking, and I guess in Japan they have these places where they have sidewalks and they put these posts up where and it's a real slow curve, and they have these posts on both sides of the path. So when you look forward, all you see is this post. You can't see anything except the next 30 feet. But you can see a little bit out of your peripheral vision. And so they'll just walk in a circle, but they don't feel like they're walking in a circle. And that is a common form of meditation, is walking meditation, where it's using just enough of your mind that you don't start tearing yourself apart from the inside. But not so much that you're engaged. And I started realizing,
Corby, close to us, have you ever heard of Camp Allen? It's like a Boy Scout camp in like Navasota. It's not far out of town.
Oh, is that right next to a lake?
Well, I went on a yoga retreat there. I have a bunch of yoga background studies and meditation studies, but there's actually a labyrinth out there that you can walk.
Oh, cool.
It's so it might be a fun thing for you and your family to go. It's a labyrinth and it's a spiral. It's the whole process of a walking meditation, and we have access to that close to us. So that, anyway, if you've never experienced that,
I'll have to check that out for sure. But I started thinking, like, there's other things in our culture that we have, like woodworking, knitting, and like people really get bonkers over puzzles. And fishing, even, I think, because there's commonalities between a lot of these things where you're doing like repetitive actions, like mindless repetitive actions, but it's just keeping you slightly engaged. Lots of them are in nature, not all of them, but like you're doing something where you're focused. Art works like that for me. Like when I get to drawing, like I'm like, let me fix this ear real quick, and then next thing I know, it's dark outside. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go home. Like an hour and a half.
That's how you know it's working.
I get lost. So, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
That's great.
I've actually got my first solo exhibition right now is currently on display at the Brazos County Art Council.
Wow.
It's just off of Highway 6 going towards Tower Point and College Station.
That's awesome.
So
congratulations.
If you got any listeners in College Station, they should go check it out. I've got, I think, 6 pieces of different media. I've got some cool spray paint stencil paintings. I've got a collage, which is really cool. It's kind of dark it's entitled Route Clearance. I've got a charcoal drawing of a naked lady, which is actually my favorite piece. I'm really pleased with it. And so, I've got some art on display. It's kind of doing well. It's a lot of fun.
Would you like to go ahead and share your Instagram page and how people can come check your work out?
Yes, please.
Yes, it's like you said, it's on Instagram. My name on Instagram is Corby_Maupin_art.
Okay, all right, and we'll put that in the show description so people can find it.
Yeah,
And
cool.
then, hey, I have a question. Would you be
Sure.
okay if some of your art is up on your page? Would you be okay if I include a few images of your artwork at the end of this show?
Please, yeah, please do.
good.
Please do.
I think
I
that
love
would be
that.
really cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it could get, people, I mean, we live in the same town, Corby, so I already, in my mind, want to go see your art at the Art
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah, please put my art up. That'd be cool. I'd appreciate it. Trying to build up a following.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We are working on it. But this story, I want more than our 3 listeners to listen to this story. I'm kidding. No,
It's a running joke.
It's a running joke, but
all three of your followers. So if I get 3 more followers, I don't know where they came from.
I feel like we're on the brink of something really, really important with this Ibogaine thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd personally have the balls to do it personally.
Oh, see, I was thinking you and I could go do it together.
What? Are you kidding me?
That's
I'll go
something
with
that
you and watch you.
Hold my hand?
Yeah, I'll hold your hand. I don't know. I suffer from.
both of this. What you just said is possible. Like there's people who go down and do it together.
Yeah.
Because where I was at, I was in a room by myself, but it's common for people, friends or husbands and wives to have like a double room with 2 beds.
Oh, yeah.
I've even seen other clinics where there was 5 or 6 people in one room on mats on the floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's like they do those ayahuasca ceremonies,
Yeah, it's
where
usually
it's
group setting.
Group setting. So
Yeah,
I would
And-
definitely not want to be alone.
yeah. It would be nice to have someone hold your hand.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping it up here, but
Cool.
I do want to ask you if you had some closing thoughts, something for anybody who's listening who is feeling stuck in their pain, in their trauma, in a fear state, nervous system dysregulated. Do you have anything that you would like to share with them or anything you want them to know about their journey and what's possible for them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would encourage anybody to consider doing Ibogaine.
Okay.
Especially if you've had head injuries, CTE, concussions, TBI, whatever you want to call it, physical brain damage. And if you've had any of those and you drink too much and you don't know why, those are related. And historically, we haven't had a way to reverse or heal brain damage. But Ibogaine, we do.
Yeah.
Also, I would say, even if you do want to do that, it takes a little time to save up the money, maybe, or
Sure.
you call down there, and it may take a few months. But you can start right now with healing your brain in other ways that can be significant. Meditation. I recommend straight up full-on meditation, like breathing exercises. That could be a boost and a real game changer for your brain. I recommend anybody look up methods for neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can do right now. Meditation, sauna, working out, quit eating junk food. Junk food has a real inflammatory effect on the body and real negative effects on your brain and your brain health. A lot of what we see along these lines, I also say a lot of what you may be dealing with emotional dysregulation, drinking too much, getting high. Stop viewing these things as a moral failure and start looking at why. Okay, we focus on you're getting high, you're getting drunk, you're fucking shitbag. Well, stop thinking like that and think about, okay, so why is this person? Let's have compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Or the people you're dealing with. Jesus never called anybody a shitbag.
True.
Jesus never, let's have a little more compassion with ourselves and each other and say, why am I?
Yeah.
Why do I feel the need to get high? Why can I not be sober and happy at the same time? And some of this may not, Ibogaine is like the chemotherapy of hallucinogens. Okay. You may not need to go clear to that level. You could probably get a lot of benefit from other techniques that I've just mentioned. A lot of these things have been shown to help your brain health. Sleep apnea. Get tested for sleep apnea. That's a game changer I didn't even talk about. I've got a CPAP machine. I won't even take a nap without it. because a lot of people don't realize they stop breathing at night and they get dangerously low blood oxygen levels, and that's damaging your brain.
It is.
Especially over a long-term period.
So
Again, with sleep deprivation. And that's worse than regular sleep deprivation. Because it's also like starving your brain of oxygen. Like, there's a whole lot of things if you start looking into neuroplasticity and brain health. And a lot of this I discovered in an effort to be happy again. And a lot of this I discovered as a desperate attempt to survive college. Because I hadn't taken a math class since the 90s. And here I was signing up for like calculus and crying myself to sleep, you know.
I would be crying too.
So would I.
But so that's what I would say. Like, Ibogaine, if you think you want to do it, do it. Go for it. Don't be scared. Go for it. It's scary.
Yeah.
But when you're under the care of a doctor, you'll be all right. It's worth it, 100%. You spend less money on Ibogaine treatment than you would on alcohol in a year.
I think one of the things you said that resonated with me, and probably our show, is just that self-compassion.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, asking yourself the question, why am I numbing out this pain? Why do I have to feel happy when I'm drunk or drinking? Like, why do I have to just starting there and not having any judgment about it? I think that's the first place, in having that self-compassion.
I mean, our show is called The Why of It All, because those are the questions that we were asking ourselves. And it's the question we continue asking ourselves on this show is doing the self-reflection. And I think what you said was beautiful, the way that you worded that. And it was just, we just thought you were going to be the perfect guest for this show. I didn't know how perfect you were going to be.
and you brought her to tears, and she doesn't cry.
I don't cry.
So I mean,
your
very
story,
rare.
especially when you were talking about your what did you call it? A field trip through the universe, or when you were going into that description of just this incredibly profound experience, I even started getting a little emotional, and I looked over at Gina and she was all teary-eyed, and I was like, me too, because I don't get that way on these shows. I'm in such a observation state. So, I mean, it's been incredible having you here with us and hearing your incredible story.
It's incredible.
I'm just so grateful that you were willing to come on and be vulnerable with us and tell us this profound story. I'm so happy for you and where you're at. And it's like, do you feel like, is that your challenge coin?
Yeah.
Look at that's A&M.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
I love it. Yeah.
Huge.
For those of you who are just listening, he showed us his A&M 6-month, I assume 6-month sobriety challenge coin. Yeah.
That's something to be proud of.
Sure is.
For sure. Man.
That's cool. Feels good.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for having me on. I'm always trying to tell people about Ibogaine, especially other veterans. Like I mentioned before, like I don't know if you know, so in Iraq and Afghanistan, it was a long time. We were actually really good at what we did. We had pretty low amount of casualties compared to other wars in our country's history, but we lost somewhere around 6,000 soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. But since the first group started coming home, which was weird because that was like, almost 20 years ago, and they stopped coming. Our first deployment, our last one, was almost 20 years apart from each other, maybe a little more. So it's kind of a broad, it's almost a whole generation of people. But we've lost about 45,000 soldiers to suicide during that time. We've lost several times more to suicide coming home than we did to actual direct enemy action. I really appreciate the chance to get to talk about Ibogaine, because this is a game changer. This is a way to, these people are frustrated, because they can't seem to fix this problem. And Ibogaine is a very powerful tool, that hitherto has been unknown to us in North America. It's been around for thousands of years, but But anyway, I really appreciate the chance to talk about that. This is a real big issue,
Yeah.
especially for veterans, not just veterans. There's a lot of people who have traumatic experiences, police, and anybody.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
I can see this helping people with all kinds of trauma
Yeah.
and PTSD from
Childhood.
I'm so glad that we have the research is going to be done. The research is getting started. Abbott start getting that ball rolling here. So
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
So thank you again for being here with us. For those of you who are listening, if you have enjoyed this episode, please go down on whatever platform you're on and hit that little button, like, subscribe, share with your friends, anybody you know, and we all know somebody who is dealing with the effects of trauma or nervous system dysregulation or going through really difficult experiences. If someone you know is going through something that you think could benefit from the information that's been shared here today, please share this episode. And we're grateful that you're all here listening, and hope you'll join us on the next one.
One last thing, there's a shout out to Casa Santa Isabel Ibogaine Clinic.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Casa Santa Isabel.
And we can include that in the show notes too. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corby.
Thank you, Corby. And thank you to all of our listeners. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next episode,
Bye, everybody.
guys. Thank you.